G'day, and welcome to part 10 of this tutorial series on extending the MoreCore rule set for your own game system. My name's Damned, and I'll be taking you through some bit more advanced concepts in this video. We're going to be looking at drag and drop classes. So when you drag a class onto the character sheet, it puts a link to that class information and it automatically adds a level to your character sheet, and that will invoke some additional responses. Now, we're not going to go anywhere near the level of feature or customization that the 5e rule set has, but what we're going to do is output a bunch of messages to the chat window when somebody levels up, and that will give them prompts on what things they need to be adding to their character sheet. And I think this is a pretty good compromise. Having a look at our blank character sheet for a new character, what we're going to do is reduce the size of the attacks frame so that we can fit some extra information in there. So the first thing that we're going to do is modify the attacks frame size. So I'm copying the frame cast switch attacks from record car more in the MoreCore rule set into our extensions record car more, and basically what I'm going to do is adjust the starting position of this frame so it doesn't start as high up the page and it's a less tall frame. I'm then going to create a new frame called frame car switch notes, or using the frame car switch notes frame definition, and I'm going to call this one stats frame, and it's going to fill in that gap above the attack frame so that I can put some new content in there. So after reloading the character sheet or reloading the rule set, we can now see our new frame directly above attacks, and it's got room for us to add some additional fields in there. Next, I'm going to create 3 new objects. The first one's going to be a string U, and that's going to hold the character's class, such as fighter, cleric, elf, dwarf, etc. You can see there that we've anchored it to the new stats frame. I've given it a label resource, and that'll be stored in the strings._dbd file. Then we've got our number field to hold the actual level. This one's using the top number template, and we're storing the data as PC level. And then the third one is a link field. Now this link field caused me a lot of grief, but eventually got it right. So this link field is going to be anchored to the right of the total number field, or the PC level field. I'm also going to add a script to our link field, and what this script does is hides the link field if there's no active link in there. So until we drag our class onto the string U field, this field will be hidden, it won't be present. Once we reload the character sheet or reload the extension, we can now see our stats frame has got a string U field and a num field using the top num template, and you cannot see the shield icon or the link icon because it's hidden, because it's currently has no data in it. The next thing that we do is again something that's reasonably complex, or it is at least to start with. We're going to create a new campaign tool, and this one's going to store our classes. So this is going to ultimately have a new button in the campaign tools on the right hand side, and it's going to have a new dialog box that pops up with a list of class entries, and when you open one of those class entries, either an existing one or a new one, it's going to have a specific layout specifics to classes, and there's a fair bit involved in that. So the first thing we do is create a record_pcclass.xml file, and we're going to store that in the same place that our character sheet and NPC sheets are stored. I suggest that you look at the source files for this PC class rather than just going in blindly and trying to create one. Again, this is something that took quite a while to get through, and you'll be able to access my files to leverage off that. So looking at our extension.xml, you can see I've included the new record_pc_class.xml, so that file definition is now going to get loaded alongside this extension. The next thing I needed to do was add the codes in to our data library file to display this new class, window class, in our campaign tools on the right hand side of the window. Again, you want to work from the existing codes. Now this format has evolved over time, and this is now using slightly different format than what the 5e rule set currently does today. It doesn't matter really whether you use the MoreCore 1 or the 5e one, as long as you're consistent as you go through. I've added a whole bunch of text resources in our strings DVD, and these are all used in our new reference class file. That's for the record_PC class. You can see there we've got classes, my class abilities, prime attributes, XP bonus, hit dice, a whole bunch of fields directly related to that new dialog. So when we click on classes on the right hand side campaign tools, we get a new dialog list similar to what we'd see for story or quests or any of the other major campaign tools. And then when we create a new class, you can see all our new fields: description, prime attribute, all the way down to saving throws, and there's a couple more below that. Now you can see I've gone through and I've edited or added the details for the fighter class. I've put a description. You can see under XP levels I've added a table in there, and I've done a couple of tables actually further down, and I've got a bunch of information in there. Now this information at this point in time does not help auto-populate our character sheet with any other data other than the link. Or what we've done is gone for a simpler approach, and we've done some more back-end coding, and you'll see that as we progress further. So now I've dragged the fighter from classes onto our character sheet, and it has added the text fighter into the string U field, and it's added a shortcut back to the fighter source in the shortcut link, which is pretty cool. So that was the first part of what we wanted to achieve here. So we've done several things. Firstly, we've reduced the size of the attacks frame, and created a new stats frame. We've added fields in there for the class, the level, and the link. We've then created a new data class type called class, and we've specified a bunch of different fields for that. And then we've enabled the data type of class to be dragged onto the fighter field. And I better show you that code just now. So I've added this script at the top of our record car more, and basically what it does is, if the drag info is of type shortcut and it includes the S class or PC class data type, then it's going to accept that as a drag and drop data type, and that allows me to drag that into any field that will accept it. So when we drag it onto our string U, it's going to populate that shortcut field to its right. We're going to leave this video at that point. There is a lot that has gone on in this video so far that you haven't seen. So I've basically shown you the core elements that we've done, but this took me quite a few hours to work through, and I expect it will take you a reasonable amount of time as well. You of course have my completed files to work with. They'll be published very shortly. So in the next session, we're going to add a little bit of automation now to this. This is going to take probably about 3 tutorial videos to get through this section that we're going to be coding at the moment. Thank you for watching, and thank you for hopefully practicing along with me as you're working on this on your computer, building whatever extension it is you're doing, and hopefully we'll get to see some of those extensions in the near future.